Hey yo, this is Matt. I can't remember if I've done a short, quick video. I think I kind of just throwing it together. But for this forest diorama, I have had a few people ask about it. I recently set it up again, just kind of throwing stuff together, and I filmed it. I got a new camera, so I'm kind of trying out some things. So here's a breakdown of my thrown together forest diorama. Every good photo setup starts with a clean area. As you can see, my desk is still pretty messy, but I made enough space for the forest base. So how did I make this base? It's not the greatest, but I first painted the basic pink XPS foam that I used on some other dioramas. I tried to make it some earthy tone. Then, covering most of the middle with Mod Podge, I sprinkled sand and some soil. Because I did it rather quickly, a lot has fallen off over time, but it has been almost a year now and it still holds up pretty well. Pretty much every time I use this, it's nearly covered with some of this other stuff we're gonna add to it anyway, so covering it completely wasn't really necessary. So no, this bag does not contain illegal stuff. It's just different fake plants and leaves and dried moss that can be used for home decor and terrariums. This stuff wouldn't work well for normal grass, which I still want to try and experiment later on with making my own grass and trying to do some of those static techniques for this full looking shrub look. And to fill some gaps between some of these other things we're gonna add, this dried moss works perfectly. I tear it apart and spread it around. I use these sticks that were gathered from various places. I do have a nice collection of cool looking sticks and branches. I do like how straight these are. Unless there's a tree enthusiast, they can pretty much pass as trunks. To hold the trees up, I'm using the same black wire that I use for balancing figures. Another goal for later on is to flesh out these trees and give them like a legit trunk base. The rock here is also made up from foam, but the cheap white styrofoam that I painted and threw some sand. One of the fake plants that I'm going to use is this vine. Not sure what it's exactly supposed to be, but I like it. I like the little leaves it has on it. I'm gonna hang one of them from a tree and another is gonna go around the rock. For the most part, the basic setup is done. Just throwing everything down like that. And so depending on how thick you make your forest, you might not need to use digital background, but mine isn't too thick right now, so I'm gonna use my TV. So I needed to elevate my base so I can align it better with my TV, since I have like the gap and the TV's kind of higher up. The next step is to add your subjects. For this first shot, I'm going to use OSHA from The Acolyte. Did I like the show? Yes. Was it my favorite? No. I loved most of the cinematography, and the choreography set a new bar for Star Wars, but a lot of the story was weak. I wanted her pose to be simple, like she's scared, and turning on the TV, connecting my MacBook, and seeing which forest shot I liked the best. I have a folder showing different potential backgrounds accumulated over time. On my channel, there is a full video covering how I use my TV as a background and where to get these photos for backgrounds from. So you can check it out at the top. Because I opened the image in Photoshop, I have the flexibility to edit a little bit. And besides enlarging and being able to move it easily, I sometimes blur or darken it like I do for this one. For a quick lighting setup, I'm using this Zhiyun light that they sent me as the key light coming from the right. It's a way cooler light than I thought it would be, and I'm planning on doing a review tutorial over it later. And then I'm placing a red light in the background to give reason to why she's scared. So let's see how it looks on the camera. And to complete the setup, I add some fog using the Ulanzi fog machine. If you try this out and post this on Instagram, feel free to tag me. I love seeing your work and how I'm helping. I want a little more light on the subject, so I add this white card to bounce the lights onto the other side of her. I love the way the fog interacts with the plants in this final shot. Quickly going over a second shot, pretty much using the exact same setup. I throw down this Lego minifigure. Because he is such a smaller scale, the forest looks that much bigger, which is a cool effect. To further make it look bigger, I'm going to use a wider lens than I did for the first shot, and I'm going to get closer to the subject. I move some of the shrub closer to the lens as well to create more depth. I am using the same background image, and for the lighting, I use my big Manbly video light, which gives some really soft light with this softbox, and then use a slightly harder light source from the smaller aperture MC LED. No fog for this shot. I wanted to keep it a little bit more clean. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them down below, and subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know what you think of this setup and these pics. Create and inspire.